Imagine you're sitting in a dimly lit theater, the curtains part, and a dazzling diamond, the western star, glints under the spotlight. Suddenly, a scream pierces the air, and the gem vanishes into the night. Who took it? Why? And how does one man, with his impeccable mustache and razor-sharp mind, unravel the mystery? Welcome to Poirot and the Murder of the Western Star, where secrets unravel and danger lurks in every shadow. Stick around as we dive into this thrilling tale of glamour, deception, and detective genius. Let's set the scene. It's the 1920s. In London, a city alive with the pulse of jazz, the clink of champagne glasses, and the glamour of high society. The streets are bustling with Model T cars, and the air is thick with the scent of ambition and intrigue. In a neat little apartment on a quiet street, we find Hercule Poirot, the world's most famous detective, polishing his already impeccable mustache. His friend, Captain Hastings, is sprawled in an armchair, flipping through a newspaper, muttering about the latest cricket scores. Poirot, however, is restless. His little gray cells, as he calls his brilliant mind, are craving a puzzle to solve. He's not just any detective. He's a man who sees what others miss, a master of order and method in a chaotic world. And today, chaos is about to knock on his door. Enter Marie Marvelle, vision in silk and pearls, storming into Poirot's apartment like a hurricane wrapped in Hollywood glamour. Marie isn't just any woman, she's America's darling. Film star whose face graces every cinema screen from New York to London. Her latest film, The Moonlit Veil, has made her a household name, but it's not her fame that brings her to Poirot. It's fear. In her trembling hands, she clutches a series of anonymous letters, each one more unsettling than the last. They warn that her prized possession, a Western Star diamond so radiant it's said to rival the heavens, is cursed and will soon be stolen. The letters are written in an eerie, almost poetic style, hinting at a thief who moves like a shadow. Striking when least expected, Marie's voice quavers as she speaks, her wide eyes darting to the door as if expecting the thief to burst in at any moment. Poirot listens with his usual calm, his sharp eyes missing nothing, sips his tisana herbal tea he insists on drinking. Despite Hastings' teasing, and asks Marie to tell him everything. The Western Star, she explains, isn't just a jewel. It's a legend. It's once owned by a Russian Tsarina. It's said to carry a curse that brings ruin to its owners. Marie laughs nervously, insisting she doesn't believe in curses, but the letters have shaken her. She describes how the diamond was a gift from her husband, Gregory Rolfe, a slick film producer with a smile that's just a little too charming. Hastings, ever the romantic, is instantly smitten with Marie, hanging on her every word. Poirot, however, is more interested in the details. She's not saying the way her fingers twist her gloves, the quick glance she throws at Gregory when his name comes up. Could there be trouble in paradise? As Marie recounts her story, we learn more about the diamond's allure. It's not just its size or sparkle, it's the stories woven around it. Some say it was stolen from a sacred temple centuries ago, others that it's tied to a string of mysterious deaths. Marie's not sure what to believe, but she knows the diamond makes her a target. Her entourage, her ambitious manager, her jealous co-star, her adoring but obsessive fans all seem to orbit the gem like moths to a flame. Poirot, with his knack for seeing through facades, senses that this case is more than a simple theft. He asks pointed questions. Who has access to the diamond? Who knew about the letters? And why does Gregory, who's hovering in the background, seem more annoyed than concerned? Poirot's method is like a chess game. He thinks 3 moves ahead, always. He decides to attend a grand gala where Marie plans to wear the Western Star, hoping to catch the thief in the act. The gala, hosted at a lavish London mansion, promises to be a spectacle. Chandeliers glittering, orchestras playing, and the elite of society mingling in their finest attire. Poirot, in his perfectly tailored suit, will blend in while observing. Every detail, the flicker of a glance, the slip of a word, the hand that lingers too long near Marie's necklace. Hastings, of course, is thrilled at the prospect of rubbing elbows with celebrities, But Poirot's mind is elsewhere. He's already cataloging suspects: Gregory, whose past is murkier than he lets on, the manager, who seems overly invested in Marie's fame, and even a mysterious figure from Marie's fan club who's been sending her unsettling gifts. This chapter is our gateway into a world of glamour and danger, where every smile hides a secret and every jewel casts a shadow. The Western Star isn't just a prize, it's a magnet for greed, envy, and perhaps something darker. Poirot, with his unerring logic and love of symmetry, is the perfect man to unravel this tangle. We've met our key players: Marie, the radiant but rattled star; Gregory, her charming but cagey husband; and Hastings, our loyal guide, who's already half in love with the leading lady. The stage is set for a mystery that's as dazzling as the diamond itself. What happens next? Will the thief strike at the gala, or is there a deeper plot waiting to be uncovered? Stick around for Chapter 2, where the lights dim and the stakes get higher. If you're hooked on this mystery, give USA like, hit that subscribe button, and drop a comment below. Who do you think is behind the threats? Let's solve this with Poirot. The night of the grand gala has arrived, and London's elite are gathered in a dazzling mansion that sparkles like a jewel box. Picture chandeliers casting golden light across marble floors, waiters gliding through the crowd with trays of champagne, and an orchestra filling the air with lively tunes. It's the kind of evening where secrets hide behind every velvet curtain, and Hercule Poirot is right in the middle of it, his sharp eyes scanning the room like a hawk. Welcome back to Poirot and the murder of the Western Star, where the plot is about to thicken. In this chapter, we're diving into the glitz and glamour of the gala, meeting new suspects, and watching Poirot's little gray cells spark as the mystery deepens. Ready for some high society sleuthing? Let's go. Marie Marvelle makes her entrance, and the room practically stops breathing. She's a vision in a shimmering gown, the Western Star gleaming at her throat like a captured piece of the night sky. Every head turns, every whisper hushes Marie is the star of this show, and she knows it. But her smile is tight, her eyes darting nervously as she clutches her husband Gregory Rolfe's arm. Gregorial's charm seems more interested in schmoozing with producers than soothing his wife's nerves. Captain Hastings, our lovable sidekick, is hovering nearby, trying to play the gallant protector while stealing glances at Marie. Poirot, meanwhile, is sipping a glass of sparkling water, never champagne, he insists. It clouds the mind and observing everything. The way Marie's manager, a wiry man named Victor Hensley, hovers too close. The way a rival actress, Clara Vale, glares at Marie from across the room. Even the strange, intense stare of a young man in the crowd, later identified as Leonard Bates, president of Marie's fan club. Poirot's method is all about details, the little things that others overlook. He notices how Victor adjusts Marie's necklace with a touch that lingers just a moment too long. He catches Clara muttering something sharp to her companion, her eyes fixed on the Western Star, and Leonard, he's practically vibrating with excitement, clutching a small velvet box that he seems desperate to present to Marie. Poirot files these observations away, his mind like a filing cabinet of human behavior. He knows that a thief or worse could be hiding behind any of these polished facades. To get a better sense of the players, Poirot strikes up conversations, his Belgian charm disarming even the most guarded guests. He chats with Victor, who boasts about Marie's skyrocketing career, but seems cagey when asked about his own finances. Clara, dripping with false sweetness, drops hints about Marie's reckless spending on jewels like the Western Star. And Leonard, blushing and stammering, reveals he's written Marie dozens of letters, some of which sound eerily like the threatening notes she received as the evening unfolds. The tension builds like a storm cloud over the ballroom. Poirot learns more about the Western Star's dark history. A guest, an eccentric historian named Lady Margaret, shares a chilling tale. The diamond was once part of a sacred relic, stolen from a temple in the Far East. Its owners, she claims, have faced betrayal, bankruptcy, or worse. Marie laughs off the story, but her hand drifts to the necklace, as if to reassure herself it's still there. Gregory, overhearing, rolls his eyes and calls it superstitious nonsense. But Poirot notices a flicker of unease in his expression. Could Gregory know more about the diamond's past than he's letting on? Or is he just tired of Marie's paranoia? Poirot decides to keep a closer eye on him, especially when he sees Gregory slip away to a quiet corner with a shady-looking man in a pinstripe suit. Someone who doesn't quite fit the gala's polished crowd, just when it seems the night might pass without incident. A commotion erupts near the grand staircase. Marie lets out a gasp, her hand flying to her throat. The Western Star has gone vanished from her necklace in the middle of a crowded room. The guests murmur in shock, some accusingly, others with barely concealed excitement. Ever appease. The action man wants to search everyone right then and there, but Poirot raises a hand, calm as ever. Order and method, mon ami, he says, his mustache twitching with the hint of a smile. He insists the theft is no simple pickpocketing. It's too bold, too precise. The thief, he believes, is still in the room, hiding among the sequins and bow ties. He quietly instructs the host to lock the doors, ensuring no one leaves before he's had a chance to investigate. Poirot begins questioning key figures, starting with Marie, who's near tears, but oddly hesitant to share details about her movements that night. Gregory, meanwhile, is indignant, claiming the theft is an embarrassment to his reputation. Victor points fingers at Clara, who snaps back that Marie probably staged the theft for publicity. Leonard, practically in hysterics, swears he saw a dysteric swears he saw shadowy figure near Marie just before the diamond disappeared. Poirot listens to each account, his mind sifting through the lies and half-truths like a prospector panning for gold. He examines the scene of the crime, a small alcove where Marie had paused to adjust her gown, and finds a single clue, a tiny scrap of black silk caught on a chair. It's not much, but for Poirot, it's a thread to pull, a hint of the thief's presence. This chapter leaves us teetering on the edge of a mystery that's bigger than a stolen jewel. The Western Star's disappearance has turned the gala into a pressure cooker of suspicion. With every guest a potential culprit, Poirot's calm confidence is our anchor, but even he knows the clock is ticking. Who took the diamond, and why? Is this about greed, revenge, or something far darker? We've added new players to our cast: Victor, the ambitious manager; Clara, the envious rival; Leonard, the obsessive fan; and that mysterious man in the pinstripe suit. Each one has a motive, a secret, or strange connection to the Western Star. As Poirot tugs at these threads, we're left wondering what he'll unravel next. That's it for Chapter 2. Folks, the mystery is heating up, and Poirot's just getting started. What do you think? Did Claire's jealousy push her to theft, or is Leonard's devotion hiding a darker obsession? Drop your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for the next chapter, where Poirot digs deeper and the shadows start to shift. Stay tuned for Chapter 3, where a shocking twist changes everything. The gala has turned into a gilded cage, with the doors locked and the Western Star missing. The air is thick with whispers, suspicion, and the clinking of champagne glasses that now feel more like a funeral toast. Hercule Poirot stands in the center of it all, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the chaos around him. Welcome back to Poirot and the Murder of the Western Star, where the theft of a legendary diamond is just the beginning. In this chapter, we're diving deeper into the web of lies, uncovering new clues and watching Poirot's little gray cells work their magic. The stakes are higher, the shadows darker, and a shocking twist is about to upend everything. Let's step back into the mystery. The ballroom is buzzing with nervous energy as guests murmur about the stolen diamond. Marie Marvelle, still pale from the shock, is surrounded by a small crowd of admirers offering sympathy, though some, Poirot notices, seem more curious than concerned. Captain Hastings is pacing, itching to take action, but Poirot remains still, his eyes darting from face to face. He's not interested in the obvious, the tears, the accusations, the drama. He's looking for the subtle tells: a clenched fist, a fleeting smirk, a glance that lingers too long. The scrap of black silk he found in the alcove is tucked safely in his pocket, a tiny clue that feels like a key to a locked door. But to which door? Poirot knows the answer lies in understanding the people around the Western Star, not just the jewel itself. Poirot begins his interrogations with a quiet intensity, starting with Gregory Rolfe, Marie's husband. Gregory is all bluster, insisting the theft is a personal attack on his reputation as a producer. "Who would dare steal from my wife?" he demands, his voice loud, but his eyes shifty. Poirot probes gently, asking about Gregory's recent business deals. Gregory admits he's been negotiating with some less savory investors to fund Marie's next film, but he brushes it off as standard Hollywood hustle. Poirot, however, catches a name, Mr. Yardley, the man in the pinstripe suit Gregory was seen with earlier. When pressed, Gregory claims Yardley's just a financier, but his quick change of subject tells Poirot there's more to the story. Could Gregory's shady dealings be linked to the theft? Next, Poirot turns to Victor Hensley, Marie's manager. Victor is a bundle of nerves, his thin frame practically vibrating as he talks about Marie's career. He's quick to point out how the Western Star has boosted her fame, drawing crowds to her films. But when Poirot asks about his own finances, Victor gets defensive, insisting he's well taken care of by Marie's success. Poirot notes the expensive watch on Victor's wrist, far too costly for a manager's salary. Is Victor living beyond his means? And what about the way he hovers over Marie, always adjusting her jewelry or whispering in her ear? Poirot wonders. If Victor's loyalty is to Marie or to the wealth she represents, Clara Vale, the rival actress, is next, and she doesn't disappoint. Her smile is sharp as a knife as she suggests Marie staged the theft for publicity. She's always been dramatic, Clara purrs, tossing her hair. But Poirot senses bitterness beneath her charm. Clara's career has been overshadowed by Marie's meteoric rise, and the Western Star is a constant reminder of that. When Poirot asks about her whereabouts during the theft, Clara claims she was dancing with a lord, but her alibi is vague, and her companion conveniently can't recall the exact moment. Poirot's not convinced Clara's jealousy is palpable, and her quick wit could easily mask a cunning plan. Then there's Leonard Bates, fan club president, who's practically falling apart under Poirot's gentle questioning. Leonard admits to sending Marie countless letters, some gushing with admiration, others oddly intense. He swears he'd never harm her. But the velvet box he was carrying earlier contains a locket with Marie's picture gift that feels more obsessive than romantic. Leonard claims he was near Marie when the diamond vanished, trying to give her the locket, but he saw a shadowy figure slip away. Poirot listens patiently, noting Leonard's trembling hands and fervent devotion. Is he a lovesick fan, or is his obsession a cover for something sinister? As Poirot pieces together these accounts, a scream cuts through the ballroom. The crowd parts to reveal a shocking sight. Mr. Yardley, the mysterious man in the pinstripe suit, lies crumpled on the floor, blood pooling beneath him. He's been stabbed, and the weapon-a jeweled dagger from the mansion's displays nowhere to be found. The gala erupts into chaos, with guests gasping and pointing fingers. Marie faints into Gregory's arms. Victor shouts for a doctor, and Clara slips to the back of the room, her face unreadable. Hastings, ever the soldier, tries to restore order. But Poirot is already at Yardley's side, examining the scene with clinical precision. The man's wallet reveals a business card. Jacob Yardley, private investor. But a crumpled note in his pocket, written in the same poetic style as Marie's threatening letters, hints at a deeper connection to the Western Star. This murder changes everything. The theft was a spark. Yardley's death is a wildfire. Poirot knows the two crimes are linked. The timing is too perfect, the stakes too high. He studies the crowd, noting who looks shocked and who looks guilty. Gregory's face is pale, but is it grief or fear? Victor's hands are shaking, but is it nerves or guilt? Clara's cool detachment feels calculated, and Leonard's wide-eyed panic could be genuine or an act. Poirot's mind races, connecting the black silk, the threatening letters, and now this murder. The Western Star, he realizes, isn't just a prize, it's a catalyst, drawing out greed, betrayal, and violence. As the police arrive to secure the scene, Poirot takes charge, insisting on preserving every detail. He finds another clue near Yardley's body, a single pearl, small but flawless, likely from a woman's earring. It's not much, but for Poirot, it's another thread in the tapestry of this mystery. He instructs Hastings to keep an eye on Marie, who's now under sedation while he plans his next move. The gala, once a celebration, is now a crime scene, and every guest is a suspect. The Western Star's curse, it seems, is more than a legend, it's a deadly reality. What a twist, right? The theft of the Western Star has spiraled into a murder, and Poirot's got his work cut out for him. Who killed Yardley? And how is it tied to the diamond? Is the thief now a murderer? Or are there multiple players in this deadly game? We're left with more questions than answers. But that's what makes this mystery so gripping. Stick around for Chapter 4, where Poirot starts pulling at those threads, and the truth begins to emerge. If you're loving this roller coaster, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment. Who do you think stabbed Yardley? Let's keep sleuthing with Poirot. The grand mansion, once alive with music and laughter, now feels like a tomb. The police have cordoned off the ballroom, and the guests are huddled in small groups, their faces a mix of fear, suspicion, and morbid curiosity. Hercule Poirot stands near the spot where Jacob Yardley's body was found, his sharp eyes scanning the room as if it could whisper its secrets. Welcome back to Poirot and the Murder of the Western Star, where a stolen diamond has led to a brutal murder, and the mystery is spiraling into something far darker. In this chapter, we're diving into the tangled motives of our suspects, uncovering new clues and watching Poirot weave his magic. The truth is closer, but it's hidden in a maze of lies. Let's step into the shadows and see what Poirot finds next. The police are bustling about, taking statements and dusting for fingerprints. But Poirot knows they're missing the real story, the human story. For him, a crime is like a play, with each suspect playing a role, driven by desires, fears, or secrets. He's got his clues: the scrap of black silk from the theft, the pearl earring near Yardley's body, and the cryptic note in Yardley's pocket, written in the same poetic style as Marie's threatening letters. These are pieces of a puzzle, but Poirot needs to understand the why behind the crimes. He gathers Captain Hastings, who's still shaken from the murder, and begins a deeper investigation into the lives of their suspects, starting with the most obvious: Gregory Rolfe. Marie's husband, Poirot, and Hastings retreat to a quiet study in the mansion, where Poirot questions Gregory more thoroughly. Gregory's charm is fraying now, his slick smile replaced by a defensive scowl. He insists he barely knew Yardley, just a business acquaintance he met to discuss film funding. But Poirot presses, noting Gregory's nervous habit of tugging at his cufflinks. With a bit of coaxing, Gregory admits Yardley was more than an investor. He was a loan shark, and Gregory owed a significant sum. The Western Star, Gregory confesses, was partly a publicity stunt to boost Marie's fame, but also collateral for his debts. If the diamond's gone, Gregory's in deep trouble. Poirot's mustache twitches. Could Gregory have staged the theft to avoid paying Yardley? Or did Yardley demand the diamond, leading to a deadly confrontation? Next, Poirot turns his attention to Victor Hensley, Marie's manager. Victor's in the drawing room, pacing like a caged animal, his expensive watch glinting under the lamplight. Poirot asks about his role in Marie's career, and Victor launches into a speech about how he's made her a star. But when Poirot casually mentions Victor's lavish lifestyle, those tailored suits, that gold watch, Victor bristles. He claims his wealth comes from smart investments, but his eyes dart away when Poirot asks about his connection to Yardley. A quick check with a police contact reveals Victor was seen meeting Yardley in a shady London pub days before the gala. Is Victor in debt too? Or was he working with Yardley to steal the diamond, only to double-cross him? Clara Vale, the rival actress, is a different kind of challenge. Poirot finds her in the garden, smoking a cigarette and looking far too composed for someone at a murder scene. Her sharp tongue is ready, dismissing Marie as a talentless hack who relies on jewels to stay relevant. Poirot, ever polite, asks about her alibi during the theft and murder. Clara claims she was flirting with a baron, but the Baron's story is shaky, and Poirot notices a missing pearl earring in Clara's left ear. Could it match the one found near Yardley? Clara laughs off the question, saying she loses earrings all the time, but her nonchalance feels forced. Poirot wonders if Clara's jealousy drove her to more than just snide comments. Could she have stolen the diamond to ruin Marie, then killed Yardley to cover her tracks? Leonard Bates, the fan club president, is a trembling mess when Poirot finds him. He's clutching his velvet box, now revealed to hold a locket with Marie's picture, inscribed with words that border on obsession. Forever yours. Leonard swears he'd never hurt Marie. But his story about seeing a shadowy figure during the theft is vague, almost rehearsed. Poirot gently probes, learning that Leonard's devotion to Marie has cost him his job and savings. He's spent everything on gifts and fan club events. Did Leonard's obsession turn desperate? Could he have stolen the diamond to feel closer to Marie, or killed Yardley in a misguided attempt to protect her? Poirot notes Leonard's dark coat. Could it be the source of the black silk? As Poirot pieces together these motives, he returns to Marie, who's resting in a guest room, still shaken. She's reluctant to talk, her eyes red from crying. Poirot, with his gentle charm, coaxes her to open up. Marie admits she's been hiding something. The threatening letters mentioned a rival star who'd stop at nothing to see her fall. She assumed it was Clara, but now she's not sure. She also reveals that Gregory's been secretive lately, taking late-night calls and leaving without explanation. Poirot asks about the pearl earring, and Marie touches her ears. Both her earrings are intact, but she mentions Clara complimenting them earlier that night. Is Clara being framed, or is she the key to this puzzle? Poirot's investigation is interrupted by a new discovery. The police find the jeweled dagger, hidden in a potted plant near the ballroom. It's wiped clean of fingerprints, but it's ornate. Handle matches a set owned by the mansion's host, Lord Ashburn. Poirot learns that Lord Ashburn is a collector of rare artifacts, including items from the Far East where the Western Star's legend began. Could Ashburn have a connection to the diamond's curse? Or is the dagger's placement a deliberate misdirection? Poirot also discovers that Yardley's note mentioned a meeting at midnight with someone called the Raven. The name is cryptic, but it suggests a mastermind behind the crimes. Someone pulling strings from the shadows. This chapter has tightened the noose around our suspects, each with a motive as sparkling and dangerous as the Western Star itself. Gregory's debts, Victor's greed, Clara's envy, Leonard's obsession, and now the mysterious Raven, all threads in Poirot's growing tapestry. The pearl earring and the jeweled dagger are new pieces, but the puzzle is far from complete. Poirot's little gray cells are buzzing, and he's starting to see a pattern, but he needs more to catch the culprit. The mansion feels smaller now, the walls closing in as the truth creeps closer. What's next in this glittering web of deceit? Will Poirot unmask the Raven, or is another shock waiting in the wings? We're halfway through this mystery, and the stakes are higher than ever.
Stay tuned for Chapter 5, where Poirot follows the trail of the pearl and a new suspect emerges
from the shadows. If you're gripped by this tale, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment. Who's your top suspect right now? Is it Gregory, Victor, Clara, Leonard, or someone else entirely? Keep unraveling this with Poirot. The mansion is now a labyrinth of whispers and shadows, each corner hiding a potential clue or a lurking danger. Hercule Poirot, with his impeccable suit and unshakable calm, moves through the chaos like a conductor guiding an orchestra. The theft of the Western Star and the murder of Jacob Yardley have turned a glittering gala into a crime scene. And the name the Raven echoes in Poirot's mind like a taunting riddle. Welcome back to Poirot and the Murder of the Western Star, where every suspect has a secret and every clue points to a deeper truth. In this chapter, we're chasing the mysterious Raven, uncovering new connections, and watching Poirot's little gray cells zero in on the heart of the mystery. Grab a seat, because things are about to get even more twisted. The police are still combing the mansion, but Poirot knows their methods, though. Thorough are too blunt for this delicate puzzle. He's holding on to his clues. The black silk, Scrap the pearl earring, the jeweled dagger, and the cryptic note mentioning the raven. These are like stars in a constellation, and Poirot is determined to map them. He gathers Captain Hastings in a quiet library off the main hall, where the scent of old books mixes with the tension of the night. Hastings, ever eager, suggests searching the guest's belongings, but Poirot shakes his head. Mon ami, the truth lies not in pockets, but in hearts, he says, his eyes gleaming. He wants to understand the raven who is this shadowy figure, and how do they connect the theft to Yardley's murder. Poirot starts by revisiting Lord Ashburn, the mansion's host and owner of the jeweled dagger. Ashburn, a tall man with a silver beard and an air of old money, welcomes Poirot into his private study. The room is a treasure trove of artifacts, jade statues, ancient scrolls, and relics from the Far East, where the Western Star's legend was born. Ashburn admits the dagger was part of his collection, displayed in a glass case until tonight. He's appalled it was used in a murder, but claims no knowledge of the raven, Poirot. However, notices a small jade raven statue on Ashburn's desk, its eyes glinting like tiny emeralds. When asked, Ashburn dismisses it as a trinket, but his fingers twitch to tell Poirot doesn't miss. Could Ashburn be more than a gracious host? Is he the raven, or does he know who is? Next, Poirot digs deeper into Yardley's past. With the police's help, he learns Yardley wasn't just a loan shark, he was a broker of secrets, trading in blackmail and shady deals across London's underworld. His note about a meeting at midnight suggests he was expecting trouble, but with whom? Poirot cross-references Yardley's connections with the gala's guest list and finds a link: Victor Hensley. Marie's manager was seen with Yardley multiple times, not just at the pub, but at a private club known for discreet dealings. Poirot confronts Victor, who's now chain-smoking in the garden. Victor admits he borrowed money from Yardley to cover gambling debts, but swears he had nothing to do with the murder. His story is shaky, though, and Poirot notices a black silk tie in Victor's pocket. Could it match the scrap from the alcove? Clara Vale, the rival actress, is next on Poirot's list. He finds her in the ballroom, charming a group of guests, as if nothing's happened. Her missing pearl earring is still a sore point, and when Poirot asks about it, she produces a matching pair, claiming the one found near Yardley must belong to someone else. But Poirot's not so sure. Her earrings look new, almost too perfect, as if she replaced the lost one in a hurry. He also learns Clara was seen near the alcove during the theft, supposedly adjusting her makeup. Clara laughs off the accusation, but her eyes flicker when Poirot mentions the raven. Does she know the name, or is she playing a dangerous game of misdirection? Leonard Bates, the obsessive fan, is harder to pin down. Poirot finds him in a corner, clutching his locket and muttering about Marie's safety. Leonard's devotion is almost painful to watch. He speaks of Marie as if she's a goddess, not a person. When Poirot asks about the raven, Leonard's eyes widen. He blurts out that he overheard Yardley mention the name during a heated phone call a week ago. Leonard claims he was protecting Marie by eavesdropping, but his story feels like a mix of truth and fantasy. Poirot wonders if Leonard's obsession could have driven him to violence, perhaps seeing Yardley as a threat to his idol. The black silk scrap could even come from Leonard's dark coat. Worn proudly with a fan club pin, Marie Marvelle, still fragile from the night's events, is Poirot's next stop. She's in a guest room, sipping tea under the watchful eye of a maid. Poirot's gentle questions reveal more about her fears. The threatening letters mention the raven explicitly, calling it the shadow that claims the star. Marie admits she's been hiding another letter received just before the gala, warning that the raven would strike that night. She didn't tell Gregory, fearing his temper, but she's starting to suspect he's involved. Poirot asks about the pearl earring, and Marie confirms she wore no pearls that night. Hers were diamonds to match the Western Star. This makes Clara's story shakier. But it also raises a new question. Whose pearl was it? As Poirot pieces these threads together, a new clue emerges. A waiter, overlooked in the chaos, approaches Poirot with a nervous whisper. He saw a woman in a black silk shawl slip into a side room just before the theft, carrying a small case. The description doesn't fully match Clara or Marie, but it could point to a new player. Poirot searches the side room and finds a hidden compartment in a bookshelf, containing a single item, a forged invitation to the gala, made out to a Miss Raven. D name sends a chill down Hastings' spine, but Poirot's eyes light up. This is no coincidence. The Raven is real, and they were here, blending into the crowd like a ghost. This chapter has pulled us deeper into the mystery, with the Raven emerging as a central figure, perhaps a mastermind, perhaps a myth. Poirot's suspects are all tangled in motives. Gregory's debts, Victor's gambling, Clara's jealousy, Leonard's obsession, and Ashburn's curious artifacts. The black silk, the pearl, the dagger. And now the forged invitation are like breadcrumbs leading to the truth. But the path is still murky. Poirot's little gray cells are working overtime. He's starting to see a pattern, a web of greed and betrayal centered on the Western Star. But is the Raven one of the suspects, or someone hiding in plain sight? We're at the halfway mark, folks, and the tension is electric. Will Poirot unmask the Raven, or is another twist waiting to shake things up? Stay tuned for Chapter 6, where a surprising discovery turns the case on its head. If you're hooked on this mystery, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Who do you think the Raven is? Is it one of our suspects? Or a new face we haven't met? Let's keep unraveling this with Poirot. The mansion, once a beacon of elegance, now feels like a chessboard where every move could be a checkmate. Hercule Poirot navigates this deadly game with his trademark precision, his little gray cells humming as he chases the elusive Raven. The theft of the Western Star and Jacob Yardley's murder have woven a tapestry of deceit, and the forged invitation marked Miss Raven is the latest thread in Poirot's hands. Welcome back to Poirot and the Murder of the Western Star, where secrets are unraveling and the truth is tantalizingly close. In this chapter, we're diving into a shocking discovery that flips the case upside down. As Poirot edges closer to the heart of the mystery, buckle up, because this ride is about to take a wild turn. The night is wearing on, and the guests are growing restless, their polished facades cracking under the weight of suspicion. The police are still processing the crime scene, but Poirot is focused on his own investigation, piecing together the clues: the black silk scrap, the pearl earring, the jeweled dagger, the cryptic note, and now the forged invitation. Each is a brushstroke in a painting that's starting to take shape, but the artist the Raven remains hidden. Captain Hastings, loyal as ever, is buzzing with theories, suggesting they search the mansion for the diamond itself. Poirot, however, prefers to search for motives. The diamond, mon ami, is but a symbol, he says, his mustache twitching. It is the human heart that drives this crime. Poirot decides to revisit the side room where the forged invitation was found, hoping for more clues. The room is small, lined with bookshelves and overlooked in the gala's chaos. As he examines the hidden compartment, he notices a faint scratch on the wood, as if something heavy was dragged across it. With Hastings' help, he moves a nearby rug and discovers a loose floorboard. Beneath it lies a small leather pouch, an inside gasp. Is the Western Star itself? Its facets catching. The dim light like a trapped fire? Hastings is stunned, ready to declare the case solved, but Poirot's eyes narrow. Why hide the diamond here, so close to the crime scene? It's too convenient, too staged. He suspects a trap, or perhaps a distraction. The Raven, he believes, is playing a deeper game. This discovery shifts the case dramatically. The diamond's recovery rules out a simple theft for profit. Why steal it only to abandon it? Poirot theorizes the theft was a smokescreen, a way to stir chaos or draw attention from Yardley's murder. He pockets the diamond, entrusting it to the police for safekeeping, and turns his attention to the Raven's identity. The forged invitation suggests an outsider infiltrated the gala, but Poirot wonders if Miss Raven is a pseudonym for someone already known to him. He re-examines his suspects, starting with Marie Marvelle, whose fragile demeanor hides a sharp mind. Poirot finds Marie in the guest room, now more composed but still guarded. He shows her the forged invitation, watching her reaction. Her eyes widen, but she claims no knowledge of the Raven beyond the threatening letters. When Poirot mentions the diamond's recovery, Marie's relief seems genuine, but she hesitates when asked about her movements during the theft. She admits she stepped into the alcove to catch her breath, feeling overwhelmed by the crowd. Could someone have used that moment to lift the diamond? Poirot also asks about her relationship with Yardley. Marie reveals he once approached her with a shady film deal, which Gregory rejected. This strengthens the link between Yardley and Gregory, but Marie's nervous glance suggests she's hiding something about her husband. Next, Poirot tracks down Gregory Rolfe, who's in the smoking room, drowning his nerves in brandy. The news of the diamond's recovery doesn't ease Gregory's tension instead. He grows agitated, demanding to know who found it. Poirot probes deeper into Gregory's debts to Yardley, and Gregory admits he owed more than he let on enough. To ruin him, Yardley, he claims, threatened to expose his financial troubles unless the Western Star was handed over. Gregory swears he didn't steal it, but Poirot notices a black silk handkerchief in Gregory's pocket, monogrammed with his initials. Could it match the scrap from the alcove? And why does Gregory avoid questions about his late-night meeting with Yardley? Victor Hensley, the manager, is next, and he's unraveling fast. Poirot finds him in the kitchen, arguing with a waiter over a spilled tray. Victor's expensive watch has gone sold, he mutters, to cover expenses. When confronted with his meetings with Yardley, Victor admits he was in debt, but insists he paid it off by feeding Yardley gossip about Marie's rivals, including Clara Vale. This paints Victor as a schemer, but Poirot wonders if he's cunning enough to orchestrate a theft and murder. The black silk tie Victor wore earlier is now missing, adding to Poirot's suspicion. Did Victor plant the diamond to throw off the trail, or is he another pawn in the Ravens' game? Clara Vale, ever the performer, is holding court in the ballroom, spinning tales of her innocence. Poirot challenges her about the pearl earring, and she produces her new pair with a flourish. But Poirot notices one pearl is slightly larger than the other, rushed replacement, perhaps. Clara's alibi for the murder is still weak, and when Poirot mentions the Raven, she laughs, calling it a silly nickname. But her laughter fades when he asks about her rivalry with Marie. Clara admits she's struggled to match Marie's fame, and the Western Star was a constant reminder of that. Could her jealousy have driven her to steal the diamond and kill Yardley to silence him? Or is she being framed by the real Raven? Leonard Bates, the fan, is in the library, staring at his locket like it's a lifeline. Poirot's gentle questions reveal Leonard's desperation. He's bankrupt from his devotion to Marie, even selling his family's heirlooms to fund fan club events. When shown the forged invitation, Leonard stammers that he saw a woman in a black shawl near the alcove, but his description is vague, almost dreamlike. Poirot suspects Leonard's obsession clouds his memory, but his dark coat could still be the source of the silk scrap. Did Leonard steal the diamond in a delusional bid to save Marie, or is he another victim of the Raven's manipulation? As Poirot digests these interviews, a new lead emerges. A maid, timid but observant, tells Poirot she saw Lord Ashburn slip into the side room shortly after the theft, looking agitated. Poirot confronts Ashburn, who admits he was checking his artifacts, fearing more thefts. But his jade raven statue is now missing from his desk, and Poirot finds a tiny black feather tucked into a book nearby, a calling card of sorts. This ties Ashburn to the Raven. But is he the mastermind, or another player? Poirot's mind races, connecting the feather, the invitation, and the diamond's strange recovery. This chapter has turned the mystery inside out. The Western Star's return raising more questions than answers. The Raven is no longer a shadow, but a presence, linked to Ashburn's artifacts, Yardley's murder, and the forged invitation. Gregory, Victor, Clara, Leonard, and now Ashburnall have motives, but the Raven's true face remains hidden. Poirot's clues are piling up, and he's starting to see a pattern, a grand scheme where the diamond was bait, and Yardley's death was the price. The mansion feels like a stage, and Poirot is ready to pull back the curtain. What's next? In this dazzling drama, will Poirot catch the Raven, or is another shock waiting in the wings? Stay tuned for Chapter 7, where a bold move by Poirot brings the truth into focus. If you're loving this mystery, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment. Who's your Raven? Is it Ashburn, one of the suspects, or someone else entirely? Let's keep sleuthing with Poirot. The air in the grand mansion crackles with tension, as if the walls themselves are holding their breath. Hercule Poirot, with his sharp mind and sharper gaze, is closing in on the elusive Raven, the mastermind behind the theft of the Western Star and Jacob Yardley's murder. The diamond's surprising recovery under a floorboard has shifted the game, and the black feather, forged invitation, and cryptic clues point to a plot far grander than a simple heist. Welcome back to Poirot and the murder of the Western Star, where the stakes are sky high and the truth is just out of reach. In this chapter, Poirot sets a daring trap to catch the Raven, and a bold move brings startling revelations. Let's dive into the heart of this mystery. The police are still milling about, questioning guests and cataloging evidence. But Poirot knows their methods won't unmask the Raven. His clues, the black silk scrap, the pearl earring, the jeweled dagger, the cryptic note, the forged Miss Raven invitation, and now the black feather, like pieces of a shattered mirror, reflecting fragments of the truth. Captain Hastings, buzzing with nervous energy, suggests rounding up the suspects for a confrontation. But Poirot shakes his head. Non, mon ami. The Raven is clever. He must be cleverer still. Plan is bold. Use the recovered Western Star as bait to lure the culprit into a mistake. Poirot's little gray cells are in overdrive, and he's ready to stage a performance worthy of the grandest theater. Poirot gathers the key players: Marie Marvelle, Gregory Rolfe, Victor Hensley, Clara Vale, Leonard Bates, and Lord Ashburn in the mansion's opulent drawing room. The police, at Poirot's request, return the Western Star to Marie, who clutches it with trembling hands. Poirot announces that the diamond will be displayed under guard in the ballroom, ostensibly to ensure its safety until the gala's guests can leave. But this is no act of security. It's a trap. Poirot has instructed the police to place a decoy diamond in the display case, while the real one remains in a hidden safe. He wants the Raven to make a move, revealing themselves in the act. Hastings is skeptical, whispering that the plan is risky, but Poirot's eyes gleam with confidence. The Raven craves the star, he murmurs, and we shall give them a chance to shine. As the decoy diamond is placed under a glass case, guarded by two officers, Poirot watches the suspects closely. Marie, still shaken, seems reluctant to let the diamond out of her sight, her fingers brushing the empty setting of her necklace. Gregory, nursing a brandy, mutters about the circus of the investigation, but his eyes dart to the display. Case Victor, pale and twitchy, keeps adjusting his collar, as if it's choking him. Clara, ever the actress, lounges with a cool smile, but her gaze lingers on the decoy diamond. Leonard, clutching his locket, looks torn between awe and despair, his devotion to Marie almost palpable. Lord Ashburn, standing by a fireplace, strokes his silver beard, his expression unreadable, but his fingers grazing the spot where his jade raven statue once sat. Poirot notes every gesture, every glance, knowing the Raven is among them. To tighten the screws, Poirot begins a calculated performance. He gathers the group and shares a theory about the Raven, loud enough for all to hear, suggests. The Raven is not just a thief, but a master manipulator, using the theft to distract from Yardley's murder. He mentions the black feather and the forged invitation, watching for reactions. Gregory's jaw tightens. Victor's hands shake. Clara's smile falters. Leonard gasps, and Ashburn's eyes narrow. Poirot then drops a bombshell. He claims to have found a hidden message in Yardley's note, hinting that the Raven planned to sell the Western Star to an international buyer that very night. This is a lie, but Poirot wants to provoke action. If the Raven believes their plan is exposed, they might act rashly. Hours pass. As the mansion grows quiet, the guests confined to their rooms under police supervision, Poirot and Hastings take turns watching the decoy diamond from a hidden vantage point behind a velvet curtain. Just past midnight, a figure emerges from the shadows, cloaked in a dark shawl. They move silently toward the display case, tampering with the lock. Poirot signals the police, who pounce, revealing Clara Vale. Her cool facade crumbles as she's caught, a lockpick in her hand and a black silk shawl slipping from her shoulders. The scrap from the alcove matches perfectly. Clara protests, claiming she was only curious, but Poirot's not buying. The pearl earring found near Yardley's body matches her new pair, and her shaky alibi for the theft is now in tatters. Has Poirot caught the raven? But the trap yields more than just Clara. As the police question her, a commotion erupts. Outside, Leonard Bates is caught trying to sneak out of the mansion, small bag in his possession containing shockingly the jade raven statue from Ashburn's study. Leonard, in tears, claims he took it to protect Marie, believing it was tied to the curse. Poirot examines the statue and finds a hidden compartment inside, containing a tiny vial of poison. This raises chilling questions. Was the raven planning another murder? And why did Leonard have the statue? His obsession with Marie makes him an unlikely mastermind. But his actions suggest he's more involved than he seemed. Poirot's mind races, connecting the dots. Clara's attempt on the decoy diamond points to her as the thief, but the poison in the raven statue suggests a larger plot. He confronts Lord Ashburn about the statue, and Ashburn admits it was a gift from a mysterious dealer delivered weeks before the gala. The dealer's name? Jacob Yardley. This ties Yardley to the raven's plans, but Poirot suspects Ashburn knows more. The host's collection of Far Eastern artifacts, including the dagger, hints at a deeper connection to the Western stars. Legend. Was Ashburn manipulating events from behind the scenes, or is he another victim of the raven's schemes? This chapter has turned the heat up, with Clara caught in the act and Leonard's bizarre discovery adding new layers. The raven's identity is closer than ever, but Poirot's trap has revealed a plot far more sinister than theft. The poison, the statue, and the forged invitation suggest a mastermind with deadly intentions. Gregory's debts, Victor's scheming, Marie's secrets, and Ashburn's artifacts all swirl in Poirot's mind. But Clara's capture and Leonard's find are the keys to unlocking the truth. The mansion feels like a pressure cooker, ready to explode with revelations. What's next in this deadly dance? Has Poirot truly caught the raven, or is Clara just a pawn in a bigger game? Stay tuned for Chapter 8, where Poirot interrogates his prime suspect and a hidden truth comes to light. If you're hooked on this mystery, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Do you think Claire's the raven, or is someone else pulling the strings? Let's keep unraveling this with Poirot. The mansion's drawing room is now a stage for truth. Its heavy curtains and flickering lamps casting long shadows over the gathered suspects. Hercule Poirot stands at the center, his calm presence a stark contrast to the storm of emotions swirling. Around him, Clara Vale, caught tampering with the decoy diamond, sits under police guard, her cool facade shattered. Leonard Bates, clutching the jade raven statue with its hidden vial of poison, looks like a man lost in a nightmare. The raven's shadow looms larger than ever, but is it Clara, Leonard, or someone still hiding in plain sight? Welcome back to Poirot and the Murder of the Western Star, where the mystery is reaching a boiling point. In this chapter, Poirot interrogates his prime suspect, uncovers a hidden truth, and edges closer to unmasking the raven. Let's dive into the drama. The police have secured Clara in a side room, her black silk shawl confiscated, and her lockpick. Lying on the table like a confession, Poirot, with Captain Hastings at his side, begins the interrogation with his usual blend of charm and steel. Clara, her eyes flashing defiance, insists she's no thief, she was only testing the security of the display case, a claim even Hastings finds laughable. Poirot, however, is more interested in her motives. He lays out the evidence. The black silk scrap from the alcove matches her shawl. The pearl earring found near Yardley's body matches her new pair, and her alibi for the theft is flimsy at best. Clara's smile falters, but she doubles down, accusing Marie of framing her to boost her own fame. She's always playing the victim, Clara snaps. But Poirot notices her hands trembling, crack in her armor. Poirot shifts tactics, mentioning the raven and the forged invitation. Clara's reaction is subtle but telling. Her eyes dart to the side, as if expecting someone to rescue her. He presses her about her rivalry with Marie, and Clara admits she's resented Marie's success, especially since the Western Star made her the darling of Hollywood. But murder? I'm not a killer, she insists, her voice breaking. Poirot then reveals the poison found in the Jade Raven statue, watching as Clara's face pales. She claims no knowledge of it, but her earlier comment about the Raven being a silly nickname now feels like a slip. Poirot suspects Clara knows more about the Raven than she's letting on. Perhaps she's a pawn, but not the mastermind. Leaving Clara to stew, Poirot turns to Leonard Bates, who's in the library. Still clutching the Jade Raven statue like a talisman, Leonard's a mess, his eyes red from crying, his devotion to Marie bordering on mania. Poirot questions him gently, asking how he came to possess the statue. Leonard stammers that he found it in the side room, believing it was tied to the curse. Threatening Marie, he thought taking it would protect her, but the vial of poison inside shocks him. I'd never hurt her, he cries, and Poirot believes his sincerity, but not his clarity. Leonard's obsession clouds his judgment, making him an easy mark for manipulation. Poirot asks about the Raven, and Leonard repeats his story of overhearing Yardley mention the name. But a new detail emerges. Leonard saw a woman in a black shawl speaking to Yardley before the gala, and her voice sounded familiar. Could it be Clara or someone else? Poirot's next stop is Lord Ashburn, whose connection to the Jade Raven statue raises red flags. In his study, Ashburn is composed but tense, his silver beard gleaming in the lamplight. Poirot confronts him about the statue, which Ashburn claims was a gift from Yardley, part of a collection tied to Far Eastern legends. The hidden compartment, he insists, was unknown to him. But Poirot is not convinced Ashburn's collection includes the jeweled dagger used in Yardley's murder, and his knowledge of the Western Star's history is suspiciously deep. When Poirot mentions the black feather found near the statue, Ashburn's composure slips, and he admits receiving anonymous notes warning him to secure his artifacts before the gala. Were these from the Raven? Or is Ashburn playing a double game? Returning to the drawing room, Poirot questions Marie Marvelle and Gregory Rolfe together, hoping to catch discrepancies. Marie, still fragile, clings to Gregory's arm, but her eyes betray doubt. Gregory, meanwhile, is belligerent, demanding to know why Clara is being singled out. Poirot reveals the diamond's recovery and Clara's attempt on the decoy, watching Gregory's reaction. His relief seems genuine, but his quick glance at Victor Hensley, hovering nearby, raises Poirot's suspicions. When asked about the Raven, Gregory claims ignorance, but Marie hesitates, admitting she overheard Gregory mention the name during a late-night call. Gregory bristles, calling it business talk, but Poirot senses a lie. Is Gregory the Raven, or is he protecting someone? Else Victor, sweating under Poirot's gaze, is next. His gambling debts and meetings with Yardley paint him as a desperate man, and the missing black silk tie doesn't help his case. Victor admits he knew about the Ravenna codename Yardley used for a contact who supplied sensitive information, but he swears he's not involved, claiming he was in the ballroom during the murder. Poirot, however, recalls a waiter's testimony placing Victor near the alcove during the theft. When confronted, Victor stammers, insisting he was only checking on Marie. Poirot's not buying it. Victor's greed and proximity to Yardley make him a strong candidate for the Raven's ally, if not the Raven himself. As Poirot pieces together these accounts, a hidden truth emerges. He revisits the side room and finds a tiny detail overlooked before: a smudge of red lipstick on the bookshelf near the hidden compartment. It's faint but distinct, and none of the suspects, Clara, Marie, or any female guest wore red lipstick that night. This suggests a new player, someone who infiltrated the gala as Miss Raven. Poirot cross-references the guest list and finds a discrepancy. A woman named Elise Moreau, listed as a minor actress, was seen briefly but vanished after the theft. Her description matches the woman in the black shawl, and a quick check reveals she's linked to Yardley's underworld dealings. Is Elise the Raven, orchestrating the theft and murder from the shadows? This chapter has tightened the noose, with Clara's capture, Leonard's strange find, and Elise's emergence as a new suspect. Poirot's interrogation has peeled back layers of deception, but the Raven's true identity remains elusive. Lipstick smudge is a tantalizing clue, pointing to an outsider who may have manipulated Clara, Leonard, or even Ashburn. The mansion feels like a pressure cooker, with every suspect sweating under Poirot's scrutiny. The Western Star, the poison, and the Raven's name are all threads in a deadly tapestry. Poirot's almost ready to pull it apart. What's next in this thrilling chase? Will Elise Moreau be the key, or is the Raven still hiding among the known suspects? Stay tuned for Chapter 9, where Poirot stages a final confrontation and the truth begins to shine. If you're gripped by this mystery, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Do you think Elise is the Raven? Or is Poirot missing a bigger twist? Let's keep sleuthing with him. The Grand Mansion is a pressure cooker of secrets, its opulent halls now suffused with the weight of betrayal and murder. Hercule Poirot, with his unerring logic and piercing gaze, stands on the cusp of unmasking the Raven, the shadowy figure. Behind the theft of the Western Star and Jacob Yardley's death, the smudge of red lipstick, pointing to the mysterious Elise Moreau, has added a new layer to this intricate puzzle. But Poirot knows the truth is within reach. Welcome back to Poirot and the Murder of the Western Star, where the climax is near and the stakes couldn't be higher. In this chapter, Poirot stages a dramatic confrontation, weaving together every clue to reveal the Raven's identity. Hold on to your hats, this is going to be a wild ride. The drawing room is set like a theater, with the suspects Marie Marvelle, Gregory Rolfe, Victor Hensley, Clara Vale, Leonard Bates, and Lord Ashburn gathered under the watchful eyes of the police. Captain Hastings stands by Poirot, his nerves frayed, but his trust in his friend unshakable. Poirot's clues, the black silk scrap, the pearl earring, the jeweled dagger, the cryptic note, the forged Miss Raven invitation, the black feather, the jade Raven statue with its poison vial, and the red lipstick smudge are all pieces of a puzzle he's ready to assemble. He begins with a flourish, addressing the group with his characteristic flair. Madame et messieurs, the Raven has flown among us. Weaving a web of deceit, he declares, his mustache twitching with purpose. But tonight, the truth shall shine like the Western Star itself. Poirot starts by recapping the crimes. The theft of the diamond during the gala, Yardley's murder with the jeweled dagger, and the diamond's recovery under a floorboarder deliberate misdirection. He reveals his trap with the decoy diamond, which caught Clara Vale in the act. Clara, still under guard, glares but says nothing. Poirot lays out her motives: jealousy of Marie's fame and the Western Star's spotlight. The black silk scrap matches her shawl, and the pearl earring near Yardley's body points to her presence at the murder scene. Yet Poirot muses, Clara's actions feel too clumsy for the Raven's cunning. You stole the diamond, mademoiselle, he says, but you are not the mastermind. Clara's eyes widen, but she remains silent, her defiance masking fear. Turning to Leonard Bates, Poirot addresses the jade Raven statue and its hidden poison. Leonard, trembling, insists he took it to protect Marie from the curse. Poirot nods, believing his sincerity but not his innocence. Leonard's obsession made him a perfect pawn. Someone manipulated him to steal the statue, perhaps to hide the poison. Poirot reveals that the statue's compartment was designed to conceal, suggesting a plan for another crime. Leonard's story about overhearing Yardley mention the Raven now feels like a planted clue meant to mislead. Monsieur, Poirot says gently, and Leonard's face crumples. His devotion to Marie betrayed. Poirot then focuses on Lord Ashburn. His collection ties him to the dagger and the jade Raven statue. Ashburn's claim that Yardley gifted him the statue is plausible, but the black feather found nearby suggests a deeper connection. Poirot reveals that Ashburn's anonymous notes, warning him to secure his artifacts, were written in the same poetic style as Marie's threatening letters. Ashburn admits to receiving them, but insists he's no criminal. Poirot, however, notices a faint smudge of ink on Ashburn's cuff ink, matching the notes. You know more than you say, my lord. Poirot presses, and Ashburn's composure falters, hinting at a secret he's guarding. Gregory Rolfe and Victor Hensley are next. their financial ties to Yardley painting them as prime suspects. Gregory's debts and his meeting with Yardley before the gala suggest he might have orchestrated the theft to dodge his obligations. The black silk handkerchief with his initials strengthens the case, but Poirot senses Gregory's panic as genuine. A man in over his head, not a mastermind. Victor, with his gambling debts and shady dealings, is a stronger candidate. His missing black silk tie and meetings with Yardley point to collusion, but Poirot notes Victor's nervousness seems more like fear than guilt. "You worked with Yardley," Monsieur Poirot accuses, "but you feared the Raven, did you not?" Victor nods, admitting Yardley mentioned a partner called the Raven. Someone ruthless who controlled the plan. Marie Marvelle, pale but composed, is the final piece. Poirot questions her about the threatening letters and her hesitation to implicate Gregory. She confesses she suspected Gregory's involvement, but feared his temper. When Poirot mentions Elise Moreau, Marie gasps. She knows her as a minor actress who auditioned for her films but was rejected. This ties Elise to the gala and Yardley's underworld. Poirot reveals the red lipstick smudge, a clue none of the suspects can explain, he theorizes Elise. As Miss Raven infiltrated the gala, stole the diamond, and killed Yardley to silence him. But why? Poirot's answer comes in a flash. The Western Star's curse was a fabrication, a story spread by Elise to create chaos. Allowing her to steal the diamond and settle Yardley's debts with an international buyer to test his theory, Poirot stages a final reveal. He announces that Elise Moreau has been found and is being brought to the mansion of Bluff, as she's still at large. The reaction is immediate. Victor bolts for the door, shouting that he won't take the fall. The police grab him, and under pressure, Victor confesses he helped Elise plan the theft, planting the diamond under the floorboard to frame Clara. Elise, the real Raven, killed Yardley when he demanded a larger cut. Victor was her pawn, as was Clara, who was tricked into stealing the decoy. The poison was Elise's backup plan to eliminate witnesses. Hidden in the statue, Leonard was manipulated to steal. This confrontation has unmasked the Raven's plan. But Elise remains at large, a shadow still out of reach. Poirot's trap has exposed Victor's betrayal and Clara's role, but the mastermind's escape leaves a bitter taste. The Western Star is safe, but the cost a man's life, and a web of broken trust is steep. Poirot's little gray cells have triumphed, but the game isn't over. What's left in this dazzling mystery? Will Elise the Raven slip away, or does Poirot have one last trick? Stay tuned for Chapter 10, where the final pieces fall into place and justice takes center stage. If you're loving this roller coaster, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment. Who's surprised by Elise's role as the Raven? Let's wrap this up with Poirot. The Grand Mansion, once a glittering stage for deceit, now feels like a battlefield after the storm. Hercule Poirot stands in the drawing room, his calm presence a beacon amid the wreckage of broken alibis and shattered trust. The Raven, revealed as Elise Moreau, has been exposed as the mastermind behind the theft of the Western Star and Jacob Yardley's murder. But she remains a fugitive, a shadow slipping through Poirot's grasp. Victor Hensley's confession has unraveled the plot, but the final act awaits. Welcome to the thrilling conclusion of Poirot and the Murder of the Western Star, where justice takes center stage and Poirot's little gray cells deliver a dazzling finale. Let's bring this mystery to a close. The suspects Marie Marvelle, Gregory Rolfe, Clara Vale, Leonard Bates, and Lord Ashburn are still gathered, their faces a mix of relief, guilt, and exhaustion. The police, holding Victor in custody, are combing the mansion for any trace of Elise. But Poirot knows she's too cunning to linger. His clues, the black silk scrap, the pearl earring, the jeweled dagger, the cryptic note, the forged Miss Raven invitation, the black feather, the jade raven statue with its poison vial, and the red lipstick smudge have painted a vivid picture. Victor's confession confirmed Elise's role. She orchestrated the theft to settle Yardley's debts with an international buyer, killed Yardley when he got greedy, and used Clara and Leonard as pawns. But Poirot is not satisfied. He wants Elise. And he has one last card to play. Poirot gathers everyone in the ballroom where the Western Star, now safely retrieved, glimmers under police guard, Begins his final summation, his voice steady and commanding. Misamus, the raven, flew among us, spreading chaos to hide her true aim, he says, his mustache twitching with purpose. He recounts the plot. Elise, a minor actress rejected by Marie's studio, harbored a grudge and saw the Western Star as her ticket to wealth. She spread rumors of the diamond's curse to create fear, sent threatening letters to Marie, and infiltrated the gala as Miss Raven with a forged invitation. The black silk shawl and red lipstick marked her presence, and the pearl earring dropped deliberately was meant to frame Clara. Yardley's murder, Poirot explains, was a desperate act when he demanded a larger cut, and the poison in the Jade Raven statue was Elise's failsafe to eliminate any threats. Poirot turns to the suspects, tying up loose ends. Clara, he reveals, was manipulated into stealing the decoy diamond, her jealousy making her an easy target. Her black silk shawl matched the scrap, but her clumsy attempt proved she wasn't the Raven. Leonard, driven by obsession, was tricked into stealing the Jade Raven statue, believing it would protect Marie. Victor, drowning in debt, was Elise's reluctant accomplice. Planting the diamond to frame Clara and leaking gossip to Yardley. Gregory's debts made him a suspect, but his fear of Yardley was real. He was a victim of Elise's web, not a conspirator. Lord Ashburn's artifacts tied him to the legend, but his role was peripheral. The Jade Raven was planted in his study to deepen the mystery. But where is Elise? Poirot reveals his final gambit. During Victor's confession, he noticed a detail. Victor mentioned Elise's plan to meet her buyer at a nearby hotel, the Grand Royale, after the gala. Poirot, anticipating her escape, had quietly alerted the police to stake out the hotel. As he speaks, an officer bursts in with news. Elise Moreau has been apprehended at the Grand Royale. Carrying a forged passport and a ticket to Paris, the police found a hidden compartment in her bag, containing a replica of the Western Starproof. She intended to sell a fake to her buyer while keeping the real diamond. The red lipstick smudge matches a tube in her possession, sealing her fate as the Raven. Poirot's summation is a masterclass in deduction. He explains how Elise used the curse to sow panic, staging the theft to distract from Yardley's murder. The black feather and Jade Raven were her calling cards, meant to taunt and mislead. The poison vial, intended for anyone who crossed her, was her insurance policy. Poirot's trap with the decoy diamond flushed out Clara's role, while Victor's panic exposed Elise's plan. The lipstick smudge, a careless mistake, was the final nail in her coffin. The Raven flew high, Poirot concludes, but even the cleverest bird cannot escape the net of Hercule Poirot. The suspects react with a mix of awe and relief. Marie tears in her eyes. Thanks, Poirot, for saving her diamond and her peace of mind. Gregory, humbled, vows to settle his debts honestly. Clara, chastened, admits her jealousy drove her to folly. Leonard, heartbroken but free of his obsession, promises to move on. Lord Ashburn, cleared of suspicion, offers Poirot a rare artifact as thanks, which Poirot politely declines. Captain Hastings, beaming with pride, claps Poirot on the shoulder, declaring him the finest detective in the world. The Western Star, its curse debunked, is returned to Marie, its brilliance undimmed by the night's darkness. As the police escort Victor and prepare to charge Elise, the mansion begins to empty, the guests dispersing into the dawn. Poirot, standing by the grand staircase, reflects on the case. The human heart, mon ami, he tells Hastings, is the true mystery. Greed, envy, love, they shine brighter than any diamond. The Western Star, now safe, is a symbol of triumph, not just over crime, but over the chaos of human desires. Poirot's little gray cells have prevailed, bringing order to a tangled web. And that's the end of our dazzling mystery, folks. The Raven is caged, the Western Star shines again, and Poirot's genius has lit up the darkness. What a journey from a stolen jewel to a deadly plot unraveled by one man's brilliance. If you love this adventure, smash that like button. Subscribe and drop a comment below. What was your favorite twist? Did you suspect Elise? Or were you rooting for another culprit? Share your thoughts and join us for more thrilling tales with Poirot. Till next time, keep your little gray cells sharp and stay curious.